Wait, what was the last name?
Pork Pop?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Pork Pop.
Pork Pop.
Eldridge Pork Pop. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks for helping out there. You'll also get the latest episode of the Bill Squire Show. You get the Poundcake podcast there as well. A new one of those is coming this week, I assume. Any thoughts on what this week will be?
I'm going to cover Wendy Williams because she's really upsetting me.
Is she back on her show?
She is not.
Is that why she's upsetting you?
Yeah.
Because you think that should be your show?
No. I like watching her. I don't want to take her show. I loved it.
All right.
Like she was appointment watching for me. If I didn't watch it, I couldn't watch it normally at like normal broadcast hours because I was at work.
Right.
So her entire show was on like YouTube.
I mean, who else could possibly sit there and go, "How you doing?" Other than Matt LeBlanc 30 years ago, and but still, everything old is new again. These people watching her don't know about Friends.
Well, I like her doing it.
I know.
And she has all these guest hosts like doing her show.
Who's doing it right now?
It's a revolving doors, like musical chairs. I have no idea. I don't watch it. I watch.
It's also only a matter of time before the syndicator goes, all right, we got to figure this out.
That's why I'm afraid.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that's what they're doing. They're just auditioning new hosts.
So like I'm going to do an episode of just like why I started getting into Wendy Williams, what I like about her, a little of her journey, and then what happened. Because people are just, they're just like going in on her like this is karma for you all those years of you being a bitch. Like they're like, you always want to talk about somebody's dirty laundry, and now look at you. You ain't got no man. Your man cheated on you had a baby on you. You ain't got
people
no
come
show.
knives out.
They did. It was like, and now they saying you got
they
dementia.
build you up just to tear you down, like they say.
She made money, or all the money she made got frozen by Wells Fargo because they say that she has.
Is it in Texas or something?
The branch closed down, and she didn't have access to her money.
No, they froze her assets because they thought that she had some type of mental ailment.
I said, freeze my eggs. I'm an old woman. Okay, well, there you go. If you are a fan of both Poundcake and Wendy Williams, it's going to be a goof juicing week for you.
Even if you're just a fan of me.
Listen and spill some goof juice.
Maybe you'll
go.
become a fan after you hear the podcast. And
That seems unlikely. Nevertheless, he will be dropping that new episode of the Poundcake podcast on Wednesday. Same day that he does the Poundcake Sports Break. Hey, Nora.
But I'm not doing it this week, right?
Hi.
What did you say, Cody?
I'm not doing it this week, right? Friday.
No, the Friday that we're at Public Auditorium for the live show.
He doesn't listen to the show.
Hi, Nora.
Hi, Alan. I used to use the fake name Molly until you had your Nora, and then I decided I could just tell you the truth.
Why were you hiding it up to that point?
People, places.
Duh.
So what changed that now you're coming clean?
Just you having the daughter named Nora. I think, why not?
Oh, I see. What if I've been using a pseudonym for her? Maybe that's not her real name.
Her name's Molly.
Her name's Molly. You played yourself, playa. All right, what's going on, Nora, if that is your real name?
It is. I had a show from here. It's on Hulu. It's called Single Drunk and 100% Rotten Tomatoes. It's delightful, charming. She'll love it.
I've seen commercials for this, that single drunk female.
Yeah,
It looks real funny.
I have it in my queue just because I think that Sophia Black D'Elia is super foxy. She was in this show called The Mick with Caitlin Olsen that was real funny, and she's real cute.
And also, her mother is played by the lovely Ali Sheedy.
Oh.
Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club.
Hey.
I was reading a thing. She kind of basically retired from acting, and this show brought her back. So for those of you who have been, you kept a candle lit for the return of Ali Sheedy, you can extinguish it right now because Single Drunk Female is on Hulu, right?
That's right.
All right, there you go.
Give it a watch.
Thank you, Nora.
Thank you, Alan. Bye now.
All right, there you go. Bye now, bye later. People keep asking me, have you heard from Rick? I have not heard from Rick.
Yes,
that. I was looking at the blacklist trying to figure out what number he was, and then I was like, maybe we have his last name or initial or something.
But we have I like to keep the relationships professional, as I've always said. I do not have any update on Rick. There's also a guy in that Single Drunk Female, a very funny comic named Garrick Bernard, who I think in recent years has done a lot more writing, but he's very funny. Oh, let me play this for you.
Cleveland's one of the few places ISIS could fly over and they'd be like, oh my goodness, what happened down there? No one should have to live like that. Is there anything we can do to help them get back on their feet? You can take a newborn baby on stage in Cleveland, Ohio, douse it in gasoline, light it on fire, and punt it into the crowd. And they will be less offended than if you go, well, I see why LeBron left this shithole.
Daniel Tosh is a little love letter there to Cleveland. And I think at the time, obviously, made some people angry. But you know who Cleveland loves? They might not love Daniel Tosh. You know who Cleveland loves?
Who?
Joe Rogan. Boy, does Cleveland love Joe Rogan. Sure, they might have canceled Daniel Tosh for a hot minute. They're not going to cancel Joe Rogan. Not based on the geo-data of the people who are listening to Joe Rogan all around these United States. Cleveland, Ohio, loves them some Joe Rogan. But the hits keep on coming for Joe Rogan, who is now apologizing. See,
I wonder what they have in common with him that they love.
This was inevitable, by the way, when he's really painted Spotify into a corner, because the woman who dug up all these old clips is a black actress. And she was like, look, you can say whatever you want. Joe Rogan has a right to free speech, but so do I, in pointing out that this guy used the N-word a lot. And Spotify was built on the backs of musical artists. And so the reason, I mean, I'm paraphrasing her, but she's like, they paid him $100 million because they were trying to get an edge in podcasting, and they pay us
Nothing.
0.0001, you know. So she's like, this company was built on artists that you pay nothing to. But I guess I didn't realize that they bought, it makes sense because they wrote him a huge check, but I didn't realize that they bought the entire library of Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And the funny thing
they
is,
made it exclusive to Spotify. You can't
listen to it anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thing that was funny, if you were paying attention to it over the weekend, is every new article that talked about Spotify quietly pulling a bunch of Joe Rogan episodes, the number kept getting bigger. So it would say, Spotify pulls 70 Joe Rogan episodes, and then you'd refresh it a couple hours later, Spotify pulls 113 Joe Rogan episodes. So they must have a room full of people scouring these things nonstop, Spotify CEO says.
I wonder what qualifies of an episode getting pulled.
The ones with the N-word in
the
it.
ones where he's saying
Well,
the
why,
N-word.
why can't they just edit out that segment? Why would they have to take Joe Rogan's podcasts are sometimes like 2 or 3 hours long.
That's kind of.
Well, that's
That's
what I'm talking about. Take out the
That's
N-word.
why it's funny when they go, we're not going to silence Joe Rogan except for the 350 hours we just deleted. But other than that, he has our full support.
That's what I'm talking about. Just censor it or edit it out like everyone else does.
He was also slammed over a 10-year-old video of him on the show laughing about forcing female comedians to have sex.
We've seen that one before.
Yeah.
That's Joey Diaz telling that.
Right.
And then he also tells a story about going to see a movie in Philadelphia, calling a black neighborhood Planet of the Apes, which is really gross. And then he had Greg Fitzsimmons, who is known as guest right now. That's he was like egging him on to say the N-word, and like there's some stuff that doesn't
Our
look
Greg
great.
Fitzsimmons?
Yeah.
Did he take the bait?
He did.
Oh, Fitz dog.
Boston guys.
So, so they basically went back. The Rock and some other people had to walk back a little bit because The Rock and Kevin James and a lot of these like more kind of right-wingy celebrities were like, hey, man, we're behind you, free speech, blah, 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 which is fine. That's totally fine. They thought he was a martyr for free speech, whatever. And then the whole N-word stuff comes out, which, again, this is not new news.
Yeah.
I mean, the show, for people who have just discovered Joe Rogan over the past couple of years, the show's been on a long time. And
there's another one where he was talking about people that are like biracial,
I got the clip. He was talking
Okay,
to a comic, Joey Lock. Who was the comic? Joey Lockhart or something. Again, you can't The Rock and these guys because people were blowing up The Rock, and he goes, "Oh, I didn't know." I mean, you can't know everything someone has ever said.
Right.
He was responding to one portion of the free speech thing, and
Freddie is one of those. You know that he's got some black in him. But how much?
How much?
What's going on here?
Are you asking me to strip Joe Rogan right now?
What are you? Yeah.
Dad's black, mom's white. Standard issue, pretty much.
Powerful combination genetic-wise, right? You get the body of the black man, and then you get the mind of the white man all together in some strange combination.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the strongest combinations of all time.
there you go. One of the strongest combinations of all time, Bill. So you get the body of the black man, but you get the mind of the white man. Now, again, I don't know what Joe Rogan knows. But boy, it doesn't sound good. I mean, I'm not a scientist. There are scientists. There are anthropologists who research adolescent obesity and body composition. There are renowned scientists at big universities who've studied these kinds of things, who would probably agree with that commentary there, because there are distinct differences in body types between black people and white people. Now, not talking about
intellect,
not about the brains, right? If you're talking about below the neck, this has been studied for a long, long time. Some people have longer limbs, and it messes with your center of gravity. But the brain thing is where you get into a whole lot of trouble. Again, these are not new clips, but it just doesn't sound good. But Spotify's still behind them. They're like, look, they spent a lot of money. So I don't see a situation, and you got to ride it out.
Well, iHeartRadio also pulled all the episodes of the Alan Cox Show where you used the N-word, which was
Neighbor.
0.
0 starts with a Z, Bill.
There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks horrible, even to me. Now, I know that to most people, there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word, and I agree with that now. I haven't said it in years. I never used it to be racist because I'm not racist. But whenever you're in a situation where you have to say, I'm not racist, you up. There's nothing I can do to take that back. I do hope that, if anything, that this can be a teachable moment.
Teachable moment.
0.0.
Yeah, so again, I don't have a dog in the Joe Rogan fight, but it is interesting to see people go back and forth over it. And, listen, man.
I find him entertaining, and I don't think he's a racist.
I agree with that. I mean, I don't, I haven't listened to enough of what he does to have any kind of opinion. I've heard little bits and bobs. But if you do 3 hours at a clip for 10 years or however long he's been doing that, and you're going to, I don't know, man.
I mean,
but Spotify's got to be kind of flipping their wig a little bit because they got a lot. I mean, they had a research firm figure out, hey, are people really canceling their accounts, or is this just a social media thing? And they said that 19% of people who had subscribed to Spotify canceled. Now, what Spotify has on its side is that there aren't that many places for people to go. But, and I certainly, whatever 19% they lose, they'll probably make up for people who like Joe Rogan for the wrong reasons, the quote-unquote wrong reasons.
Come on over to iHeartRadio, where our app works 19% of the time.
0.0.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, take that. But no N-word around these parts.
At least on this show, yeah.
At least on this show. On the Poundcake podcast,
however,
you might hear it.
No.
Right?
My career is far too flimsy for me to be tossing that around.
Well, you're a black guy.
Yes, but I sound white.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you sound like.
They're not going to do their research.
Now, all they got to do is look at you.
They're not going to do their if they
What
hear
research? Look through a window?
If people,
Listen,
I'm not.
I see the numbers. No one's doing the research.
I'm talking about if they heard my podcast and my podcast alone. If they Googled the Poundcake podcast, they don't know what I look like. And
but it doesn't matter because as soon as they did, they'd go, oh, well. Again, it's not.
Do I get a pass, though?
No, I'm saying it's not a good look. I think it's super gross and whatever. But if anybody was going to say it and get away with it, it would be you.
Yes, but
confined to this show.
To white people, I would be able to get away. Now, listen, I'm telling you this.
Your brother calls you. If your brother was a guest on your podcast, he'd be, you know.
Black people don't like my brother neither. He's not He's not an honorary black. Like
I'm not even
talking biracial.
I know, but what are you talking about black people for?
Because I'm saying to white people, we get a pass for saying the N-word because you guys look at us and say, oh, they have some black in them. But to black people, they're like, oh, no, half-breed. Like, you're still not fully black.
But
you don't face the same discrimination.
So you're saying you let people tell you who you are?
I just don't feel the need to say it.
I mean, I'll take your word for it, but that's a really thin platform to plant your flag in.
I only use it in context of my brother when he pisses me off because sometimes I just have to. There's no other way to say it. I try to find the words, and you know how bad I am with words.
But that one always comes to mind.
The ignorance just comes out, and I have no choice. I don't use it towards my friends. I don't use it towards my black friends. I don't use it towards anybody else other than my brother because it was ingrained in our vocabulary growing up. So I had to filter that out because I have never let it slip on this show. In the 6 years that I've been here, I have not.
It'd be a big slip.
Ingrained by whom growing up?
We were surrounded by black people, and that's who let us know.
No, I know, but just because you're black doesn't mean you use that word. I mean,
but a lot of people do, and a lot of our neighborhood kids would use the word.
See,
and they would throw it around, and then I would do it. You know,
would your mom be the kind that would like smack you in the head if she heard you say it, or she didn't care? Because she's older.
She was sleeping and at work.
Mm-hmm.
She does not like us to use it publicly. We're not allowed to do that.
Listen, that's not a bad.
My parents had.
Yeah.
Right. I was gonna say. Sounds like they were teaching us the same lessons.
She's like, I can't believe you would say something like that in public.
It's always parenthetical.
I didn't raise you like that to do it and embarrass me.
Wow. My dad's from the deep south. I never once heard him say it.
Honestly, I've never heard my parents say it.
I was going to say, my dad's not even the kind of dude that I think that would even like occur to him.
My dad has said, my parents definitely like weren't around a lot of black people, but they were never like outwardly racist about anything.
Right.
Like it wasn't never that.
Okay, let me take a break here.
But a joke's a joke, and you got to get it.
I will have those passes for you, four pack of tickets for the NBA crossover session on Saturday the 19th, part of All-Star Weekend downtown at Cleveland Public Auditorium. So if you want to get some pals together and go to that, I'll hook you up. Also, next chance to grab some money is coming up 5:30. You'll have $1,000 to go fund to yourself.